Hello everyone, I'm John,
I'm Megan.
and this is the Vargas Venture, where we teach you how to hack through adulthood. And in today's video, we're going to talk all about the interview process. Now, the past couple of weeks, we've been doing a series on how to help you land a job from resume to the interview phase. So this is the last video in this series. So if you haven't checked out tips on building a resume, cover letters, how to apply, check out those videos because we have a ton of great content on that for you. Enough of the chit chat, let's dive right into best practices on an interview. Okay, so tip number one is do your preparation. So there's a lot of work to be done to prepare for an interview. You've done a lot of work to get to this phase, so don't let the lack of preparation be the thing that trips you up. Make sure to do research on the company that you're interviewing with. Take a look at their history, how they have innovated in the industry, what are things that that company is proud of, what are their values, things that they believe in, what are they doing in the community. Make sure to do your research because it will show if you don't know much about the company. Another thing is to prepare questions ahead of time. You know, at the end of the interview, the interviewer will ask you if you have questions, and you might want to integrate questions during the interview as well. So if you have questions, it shows that you are prepared.
Not might. You will want to ask questions.
You will want to ask questions because it shows that you're interested in the job. It shows that you are prepared, and it just shows that you are listening and engaged with the interviewer themselves. Ask questions and prepare them in advance so you're not stumbling over yourself at the end.
Sorry, I've been holding on to that yawn for a long time. Tip number 2 is to dress professionally and show up early. Now is the perfect time to go out and do a little shopping. You want to make sure that you find an outfit that fits you appropriately, that is very professional and doesn't show too much. Also, you need to show up to your interview on time. So if you've never been to this place that you're interviewing at, I would recommend the day before driving to your interview place, preferably at the same time you'd be driving the next day for your interview. So you can see how bad traffic is, how long it'll take you, where you should park, where you're entering. So that way you are fully prepared and you are not late for any reason, because if you're late, I can guarantee you, you are probably not going to get the job.
Okay, so tip number 3, know yourself. Take the time to identify your strengths. And while you're talking in the interview, you will confidently be able to say, these are my strengths and this is part of my value proposition. Now, just a quick reminder, the value proposition is a question of what you bring to the table. So making sure that you know what that is and what you bring to the employer will help you be more confident when you are in the interview. And being confident is super important. Now, on the flip side, knowing your weaknesses and being honest about that is super important. So, for example, one of my weaknesses is I'm really forgetful, and I am honest about that. And so when I am in the interview phase, I let them know I'm really forgetful, and they'll likely ask you, how do you go around that weakness? Now, if they don't ask that, then you should be answering that anyways. Just say, I'm really forgetful, but to avoid forgetting things, I write things down. And so I'll explain, I have my planner, and it's a handwritten planner, it's not digital. And so I go into detail of how I know my flaws, but I am doing the work to make sure that those flaws aren't going to be detrimental in the workplace.
And I would even go on to say, don't even give them the chance to ask how you combat that flaw. When you say your flaw, also say how you combat it. Don't even give them the opportunity. Show them that you know what your flaw is and you know how to combat it.
And don't be afraid of letting them know your flaws. They're humans, you're human, and they understand that you have flaws. They just want to get a better picture of who you are. So don't feel like you're giving them a bad answer, but just make sure that you are showing to them that you are working around it.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to know yourself is how you handle conflict. That is a question that a lot of interviews ask. How do you handle conflict or an obstacle? So identifying within yourself how you do that is going to be super important because you want to be able to elaborate on that and be able to give specific examples as well. Examples are going to be huge in your resume or in your interview process because it just gives the interviewer a clearer picture of how you react to the obstacles. Another important thing is to understand how others view you. So I've gotten that question a lot, and your mother, who does a lot of interviewing and hiring, also asks that question a lot as well. So understanding how others view you is super important. So make sure you know your strengths so you can say, yeah, I am known for being the dependable guy in the office. I am known for being the person who's on top of things, who or is very caring or helps bring a positive attitude to the environment. So just knowing that about yourself is going to be very important, because if you know it, then you can be confident when you tell that to your employer, which will be super important if you are definitely underqualified. Confidence is key.
I don't know why I'm so yawny. Okay. Tip number 4 is to make good eye contact. If you have multiple people who are interviewing you, don't just stare at one person the whole time. Make sure that you're giving each person a nice amount of eye contact, but don't just like go around the room like you're a robot and your head's just going back and forth.
Or looking down.
You want to make sure you give each person who's interviewing you eye contact. The way I do it is if someone asked me a question, they're the one I'm making eye contact to when I answer that question. Because they're the one that asked it to me, therefore they're the one I'm giving my answer. Also, make sure that you use proper body language. It is important when you answer certain questions that you lean forward a little bit to show that you're excited and that you're interested in what they're saying. Also, don't do any nervous twitching or anything during your interview. For girls, I would recommend putting your hair up, because a lot of times we like to play with our hair when we're nervous, and that really annoys certain employers. Do not do it. I've had many principals tell me, if someone walks into my office for an interview and they're twirling their hair, I can't like focus on what they're saying. If you're sitting in a swivel chair, don't rock back and forth in the swivel chair. Make sure you plant your feet firmly on the ground. I always like to rest my hands on the table so they can see it, and usually I hold them like this on the table so they're not moving. Just make sure that you know what your nervous twitches are and that you make sure you don't do them during your interview.
The things are stand up straight. Don't cross your arms like this, guys. Don't do that. Just be warm, inviting, smile, eye contact. It's going to show that you're personable. It's going to show that you are confident, and it's going to make the interviewer feel more confident about you.
It's true. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Okay, so tip number 5. Do not talk poorly about your last job. Now, the reason for that, no matter what happened, they could have been the worst employer in the world and you could have been completely in the right. But if an interviewer hears you talking smack about your last employer, it's going to bring negativity into your interview that's just going to sour. And they're also going to be thinking, well, if that's what they're going to be saying about this employer, then they'll probably say that about me as well. So no matter what happened, be professional. If you got laid off, or if you were fired, explain that in a way that doesn't smack talk the other employer. So for me, my prior job to this one, it wasn't the greatest fit for me. There were some issues and that sort of thing, but what I explained to the interviewer was, for my career, it wasn't where I wanted to go. And so, now to be fair, I loved my previous employer, but if I hated them, I'm not gonna go around and trashing them, because that's gonna be a bad look on my part. I'm gonna say, it wasn't a great fit. I wanted something different for my career, and so that is why I'm here today. And then you can tie that back to, that's why I'm really excited about interviewing with you, because you have A, B, and C values, and this role is specifically looking for someone who's doing A, B, and C, and I'm excited about that. So try to turn everything around, every negative experience around, into something that can tie back to how excited you are to be working with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one.
Tip 6 is to ask questions during the interview. Don't wait until the end. Feel free to ask a question or two while you're answering some of their questions, because it's more of a conversation that way than them just bombarding you with questions. And it shows your personality as well. It shows that you're curious and that you're interested and that you're excited.
And the last tip, and probably one of the more important ones, is to say thank you. Thank them for interviewing. Come at it with a humble heart. They're gonna feel really excited about you. And after the interview, follow up with them either via call or email or both, because that's once again gonna show that you are interested in the position. So make sure that every moment, from the moment you walk into that office to the moment you leave and the moments you follow up after, show excitement, interest, and confidence. And then they'll call you back and say, we are going to give you an offer. Okay, so here's a bonus tip, and that is, you are allowed to negotiate your salary once you are offered one. And what I mean by that is, if they offer you, let's say $30,000, you can go, that is really great, but based off of my experience, or if you don't have experience, based off of industry standards, I was hoping to shoot for 35. Then they might either do 35 or do 33 or something along that. So don't be afraid to negotiate, because employers are expecting you to. And so the last thing you want is to miss out on a couple $1,000s because you just didn't ask. Now, obviously, make sure to use discernment when engaging in negotiations. You don't want to come off as cocky. You don't want to come off as entitled or ungrateful. So be polite and go from there. And based off of their answer will help you determine whether or not you want to go forward with that job. Those are the tips that we have to help you seal an interview and hopefully land you your dream job, whether or not you have experience. Okay, so story time real quick, and to show you just how bad I butchered one of my interviews. On the way there, I did not pack my clothing correctly, so the only pair of dress shoes I had,
They were not dress shoes.
were red Converse.
Also, question. Did you drive there the night before?
No.
Oh, so-
I missed my exit because I didn't know how to get there and ended up showing up 15 minutes late, which wasn't good.
Did you get a call back?
No. They didn't want me. Too bad, they're lost, but also mine. So avoid that. And then there was another interview that I
Also forgot to pack shoes for.
also forgot to pack shoes for. I had to buy some at Target. And the way I butchered that was I just didn't sound confident. To be fair, they had 3 different people in the most intimidating array of just questions being thrown at me. Anyways, I didn't do my research, I wasn't confident, and that's what hurt me. But don't be a red convert clown like me. But the interview that I did kill, I avoided all of those pitfalls,
And got the job.
and I got the job.
So, comment down below, what is the most intimidating part about an interview for you? We want to hear it, because we might have the same fears as you. Also, like and hit the subscribe button down below, and also hit the notification bell, so that way you know every time we upload in the future. And, as of right now, that's all for us. Adios.